Have you ever heard of a hero who has no name, no face, and no grave of his own, yet even kings and queens bow before him? This is the story of Britain's unknown warrior, a soldier whose identity will forever remain a mystery, but whose sacrifice became a symbol of hope, grief, and unity for an entire nation. The First World War had ended in 1918. The guns had fallen silent, but the silence was not peaceful. It was heavy, painful, and full of grief. Across Britain, there were mothers who waited at their doors, hoping to see their sons return. Wives who clutched fading photographs, whispering prayers. Children who asked, "When will Daddy come home?" But for hundreds of thousands, the answer never came. Their sons, husbands, and fathers were gone, not only dead, but lost. Their bodies lay scattered across the battlefields of Europe, buried in unmarked graves, or never found at all. Imagine the pain of a mother who cannot even lay flowers on her son's grave because she does not know where he rests. Britain was a nation drowned in sorrow. In 1916, an army chaplain named David Railton was serving on the Western Front in France. One day, he saw a rough wooden cross with words scratched on it. An unknown British soldier. That simple phrase burned into his mind. Years later, when the war ended, he wrote to the highest leaders of Britain with a bold idea. Bring home the body of one unknown soldier, and bury him among the nation he died for. Let him stand for all the missing. Let him be the son, the husband, the brother of every grieving family. The idea was accepted. But how would they choose this one man when so many had fallen? In the autumn of 1920, a secret mission began in France. British officials carefully exhumed the bodies of several soldiers from different battlefields. Men who could never be identified. The coffins were laid side by side in a dimly lit chapel. Candles flickered on the walls, casting long shadows. No one knew who they were. No names, no regiments, no clues. And then came the moment of choice. A blind selection. One coffin was chosen at random. The others were reburied in silence. No one would ever know who the unknown warrior truly was. An officer, or a private, a young man or older, from London or from Wales. He was every soldier, and no one at all. The chosen coffin was placed in a plain wooden casket, covered with the Union Jack, and taken with the highest military honor. In France, villagers knelt in silence as the soldier passed by. At the port of Boulogne, thousands gathered to watch. The coffin was placed aboard a warship, HMS Verdun, escorted by destroyers across the English Channel. The sea that once carried men to war now carried one unknown man home. On November 9, 1920, the coffin reached Dover. Soldiers lifted it gently onto British soil. From there, it traveled by train to London. When the train pulled into Victoria Station, crowds stood in hushed silence. Some removed their hats. Others wept. Many simply stood frozen, as though time itself had stopped. The next morning, November 11, 1920, 2 years after the armistice, the unknown warrior began his final journey. London had never seen such a sight. The coffin, now enclosed in an oak casket made from the forests of France, was carried on a gun carriage. On top lay a simple sword and a helmet. As the procession moved through the streets, thousands lined the roads. The sound of footsteps echoed. Big Ben struck 11. Silence. Complete, absolute silence. Mothers cried. Soldiers saluted. Even children stood quietly, sensing the weight of the moment. This was not just one man. He was all of them. Every missing soldier. Every broken family. Every unanswered prayer. Finally, the coffin reached Westminster Abbey. Inside, kings, queens, statesmen, and generals gathered. The king himself walked behind the coffin in reverence. And then, in front of the altar, the coffin was lowered into the ground. The earth of France was placed into the grave, symbolizing the battlefield where he had fallen. On top, a black marble stone was set, with an inscription. Beneath this stone rests the body of a British warrior, unknown by name or rank. Brought from France, to lie among the most illustrious of the land, and buried here on Armistice Day 1920. From that day on, the unknown warrior became more than a soldier. He became a national symbol of sacrifice and unity. Every grieving mother could whisper, "That could be my son." Every widow could say, "That could be my husband." Every child could think, "Perhaps that's my father." Kings and queens who walked into Westminster Abbey bowed before him. Even today, brides in the royal family place their wedding bouquets on his grave, honoring him before their marriages. The unknown warrior reminds us that true heroism does not always wear medals or carry names. Sometimes the greatest sacrifices are silent, unrecognized, and unseen, but they are never forgotten. This soldier represents not just Britain, but the countless men and women across the world who gave their lives for freedom, and whose names we may never know. So, the next time you feel invisible, forgotten, or unrecognized, remember the unknown warrior. Even without a name, his sacrifice became eternal. Even without a face, his story moved millions. Even without a voice, his silence spoke louder than words. Greatness does not come from being known. Greatness comes from what you give to the world. The unknown warrior is proof that sometimes the greatest heroes are the ones no one can ever name.